Okay, we're back. I was gonna just start the video, but I guess this will probably be a different video because I won't remember until I start editing that this is supposed to be with the last video. I was doing sit-ups and I think I tweaked my back. We're back with more coffee and stuff. Skitten is not off break yet, so we're just gonna continue watching interesting boss battles that walloped your follop. I like how they're taking a lot more time with this video than normal. We probably won't get through the entire thing because there's this video about Dragon Ball Z I really wanted to get into. I might end up just doing that tomorrow, actually. And then I gotta go pick up some packages from Amazon. I ran out of space, so I need a new hard drive set up, and I gotta do some maintenance around the house, so I got some of that stuff coming. But anywho, let's get into it. Play. Ooh, play. Guardian 8, that's right. Just a son of a bitch of a motherfucking bitch. Just like everything else in the game, it will kill you.
The Guardian Ape from Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. I love that ape. I love it so much.
Yeah, not enough to not kill it.
I killed that ape so many times, but not nearly as many times as the ape killed me. The Guardian Ape is encountered in Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. It is exactly like it sounds. It's a great, big, mother-flipping ape, and it's running around in this shallow pool. And I knew I was in love with the ape from the moment I first saw it. It moves in such an amazing way. It's my favorite animation in any game ever. It moves
hardly
so
predictable.
aggressively, and as a gangly person, I related so hard to the swinging limbs and the sort of big lunging attacks. It can sort of get up to you from clear across the arena in seconds. It flings its poo, and it farts on you, so it's hilarious. And, well, you know, it's hilarious when you've been playing Sekiro for 5 hours. And you're like, farts. You take the joy where you can. The actual fight is pretty tough. It's a case of sort of trying to stay away from the ape and kind of run in and get a few hits. Eventually, you get the health bar down, and you can deal the finishing blow. And then there is just a spectacular twist in that you cut off the ape's head. The ape's head comes off, and the ape is dead. I should have mentioned, but you've seen the footage, there's been this sword stuck in its neck, driving it crazy. And the corpse is there for a second, and the game goes through all the motions of like, you've just won the fight. Shinobi execution comes up, and you're feeling really badass. It leaves it just long enough, and then the headless ape sort of gets back up like it's being puppeted. It picks up the sword that was stuck in its neck with one hand, and it picks up its own head in the other hand, and then you have a whole nother fight with the headless ape, and it's just moving like it's got no head, and it doesn't move like the ape anymore. It's this completely different but like really horrible animation. It's got all these new attacks, including the worst and most dangerous one, where the ape sort of takes its head in its hand and like puts its head back on the body to do a scream. Like, it's so horrible. And if you're anywhere near the scream when that happens,
get fucking
you die
wrecked.
Immediately. So that's fun. The way that I beat the headless version of the ape is you use the spear in your prosthetic arm, you jam it in the stump when you get an opening, and you can pull out the evil centipede that's inside the stump, making the ape go all crazy, and eventually you get its posture bar up far enough. You can kill the ape for realsies.
Amazing animation. Amazing. It's crazy.
When it was coming to this list, like, I had to choose something from a From Software game because they have this philosophy to boss fights that just makes every encounter, although very, very frustrating, really, really addictive. There's this quote, the game's director, Miyazaki, he's got this thing about communicating, quote, the deep sorrow of a magnificent beast doomed to a slow and possibly endless descent into ruin. That's the governing principle of all of the Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro bosses, yeah! Endless descent into ruin.
So this is the Gravelord Nita, and it's a pretty interesting boss fight. But if you're using a heavy weapon when you get to this point, you don't have any dexterity, I pity you, because he's a fucking slow ass moving son of a bitch. and you could just slay him if you use a dex build instead of just using this fucking axe. You swing twice and you have no stamina.
Once you start reading up on the lore around the ape, as is typical in these games, it's really sad. The ape is obviously some sort of immortal because it's able to keep going and resurrect after you've cut its head off. This idea in Sekiro of resurrection, at first it seems like a really good thing because it lets you resurrect and keep fighting, but as you play through the game, you start to get a sense that actually it's more like a curse and it's negatively affecting the entire landscape and everything in it. And so this ape is kind of also a victim of this same issue. You also find like the more reading up on it you do, and all this reading comes via item descriptions. You get like little snippets of like lore from the world, and you learn that the Guardian Ape had a partner who died a long time ago because the
Damn.
obviously doesn't have the haunted centipede that makes it live forever. In fact, there's one area of the game where you can find the skeleton of a giant ape, which seems very much like it's probably like the remains of the partner. And the Guardian Ape now spends its time, you know, trying to get back in the dating pool, basically, because it's tending to this like flower, the scent of which will attract a mate potentially. And the ape is basically just hanging out in the garden, tending this flower, hoping it will attract a partner. Which obviously you slightly put a stop to that because you cut its head off, which is horrible. It's got that melancholy aspect to it on top of what is a very, very exciting and amazing boss fight. And there's sort of a happy ending to it in that you get to fight the ape again. It shows up again later on without its head. And this time when you fought it for a bit, it does a roar and a friend appears, like its sort of like partner ape appears to sort of help in the fight. So it obviously finds a friend. And then you kill them both. Yeah, I suppose so, yeah. Hey, chicks, dicks, cars.
This boss fight teach you about life?
Perseverance.
What this boss fight taught me about life, Jane, yeah, don't get a centipede in you. You know what? There's someone for everyone. Keep looking, get back in the game if you've had a hard time because you're immortal and the inevitable passage of time has claimed your partner. Get back out there. He's literally in a dating pool. You know, tend to that flower, people.
That's good. That's incredibly good. Bayonetta.
The boss battle that rocked me the hardest was Jubileus, the final boss fight from Bayonetta, because it finally delivered on the power fantasy for which we all come to video games, which is to meet God in space, punch her soul out of her body and into the sun.
Nice. Insane. Insane game.
And now let's pause for a 20-minute break while we all go away and watch that boss fight in its entirety. Or if not, let me tell you why it rocks so damn hard. It does come right at the end of the game, and for reasons I won't get into right now, because to this day I don't really understand them. First, you're a witch and you ride a motorcycle into space on a statue, and then the statue is God resurrected, and Bayonetta's in one of the eyes, and the bad guy's in the other eye, and then Bayonetta comes out of the left eye. Cereza! And then Bayonetta, which is you, let me remind you, have to fight Jubileus, who is God, who the bad guys have resurrected, and that's a bad thing because witches, I don't know. You tell me, Platinum. It all makes sense in context, in the fever dream of Baroque Revelations style delirium that is Bayonetta, and you end up in an enormous space-bound sphere with Jubileus, who is the size of a large skyscraper, and is covered in faces. There's the face, and then her ribbons are covered in faces, and her hat is covered in faces, and she fires missiles that's covered in faces. You know, Bayonetta, faces. So it's a boss fight and a sort of spherical
This shit is just crazy looking.
Rolled into one, and sometimes it's lava, and sometimes it's ice, and it's so extra and empowering and bananas in that like pure distillation of Bayonetta. Like it's really the only way Bayonetta could and should have ended. And then obviously you conjure a giant pillar of hair, and then you wrap God in the pillar of hair.
That's how you defeat God? With your hair?
And then you become like a giant, like 2 skyscrapers tall Lady Gaga made of hair. And then you punch the soul out of Jubileus and into the sun.
What the fuck? Literally,
you have to, like,
literally
touch,
punch
like,
the soul
steer
out.
Jubileus into the sun, and then God is dead finally. And that's a good thing, and then apparently that's the happy ending, and the world just carries on. So now we know what happens.
I think we have to like mash the X button to like power the function. So
Oh, yeah.
measure is, like, gigatons.
Andy, what you're talking about is an Umbran climax. And yes, you do have to mash the button quite a lot. Also, if you're me, you have to eat a lot of lollipops. Remember the health items are lollipops?
Oh yeah.
If you're finding it challenging, you'll want to pop into a menu and just scarf down 30 or 40 handmade lollipops and then crack on with it after that. And it'll really ruin your score, but it may be your best route to actually punching God into the sun. It's glorious. It's like a playable Book of Revelations if Revelations was written by a sexy witch.
Who's to say it wasn't? Who's to say it wasn't?
She shrugs. Literally everybody
Yeah,
says
good
it
job,
wasn't.
Platinum. It's like, you know what you're doing. Well done. Congratulations.
Oh, they're gonna shoot other videos now. Actually, I'm gonna run. I didn't get to talk to Skitten before, and I really wanted to do that. She works a double shift today, so I want to talk to her before she gets into her other job. I'm loving this. The list of games we need to play just keeps getting longer and longer. ChavevzzSlovakia. We're playing some ESO. I don't know if you guys do that. What else are we playing right now? Risk of Rain. That shit's great. Apparently they want to play Age of Wonders. We're always down to play some stuff. So it's free. Age of Wonders is free. So download that shit. That's a good one. RPGs. We're always down. Dude, we love playing RPGs. We're playing RPG for a couple